Hey, doing something a little different today with the whole, Aragorn shit going on here. This might actually be a total mistake, but, well. Today I'm going to attempt to get as many as you people as possible to watch this film, and the film in question is Le Notte. This film is directed by Michelangelo Antonioni, which is the most Italian name of all time. This is a Italian neorealist film, and for those of you who don't know what Italian neorealism is, it's essentially the Italian equivalent of the French New Wave. Perhaps that's a good way to describe it. So like a lot of countries post-World War II, Italy was severely fucked up in the 50s and 60s, and that's when this wave of cinema sort of kicked in. A lot of the country was poverty-stricken, the majority of people were middle class, and essentially what happened was films started being made that were aimed at the lower class, as in they were films that a lower class audience could relate to. They weren't romanticised, they weren't Hollywoody, they were gritty, realistic, honest stories about a depraved Italy. The film started to actually reflect the attitude and state of the actual population. As much as it is important to use cinema to escape to these like wonderful, fantastical worlds, it is also important to honestly reflect the state of reality. And it was a dreary fucking time in Italy. Honestly, it's very interesting because a lot of these new waves of cinema were kickstarted by these horrible tragedies throughout history. The JFK assassination and Watergate kind of kickstarted this whole wave of paranoid 70s thrillers where no one trusted the government anymore. Film noir was a result of either World War I or II, I'm not quite sure. But whenever there was a time in history where a population needed to express a grievance about how the world was, that's when cinema would kick in and give them these cathartic experiences, almost therapeutic in nature. The German Expressionist movement, which was the grandfather movement of all of cinema, that started because a poverty-stricken Germany decided that they weren't going to allow foreign films in, so Germany had to start producing their own films and essentially develop their own film industry. Anyway, that's just a little walk through history. Some of it's probably inaccurate, but whatever. I haven't seen that many Italian neorealist films. I've seen La Strada, which is The Street by Federico Fellini. I've seen other works by Fellini, but I'm not sure if they qualify for Italian neorealism. That's kind of like bizarre, weird, introspective, artistic stuff. The only other film I've seen from Michelangelo Antonioni is The Passengers, which is actually an American-based film, really, starring Jack Nicholson, and I really like that film. That's an excellent slow burner where not really that much happens in it, but it still expresses a really sensitive story somehow, and its use of real locations is amazing. That film kind of turned me on to Michelangelo Antonioni, which is always hard to say. So La Notte, which translates to The Night, has been on my watch list for a while now. Recently, it's been brought back to my attention because of the show Mad Men. Mad Men is a show that's set in the 60s, and there's a moment where the main character in that goes to see La Notte, or he mentions that he went to see La Notte, and it's like a pretty Chad moment, because the whole idea is that he's suave and culturally savvy, and in the scene where he mentions that he watched La Notte, he's actually doing it to impress a woman, because he's like, oh, you saw that, did you? You really do see everything. Ooh.
You seen the foreign ones? Oh, so sexy.
La Notte.
Yes.
So I thought that's really cool, and if I watch La Notte, I'll probably be just as cool as Don Draper. There's always an ulterior, shallow motive with me when it comes to everything I do. Its inclusion in that episode of the show may suggest that there are some thematic parallels between La Notte and Mad Men, so let's find out. Ooh. Unlike Passengers, La Notte is actually a film that's set in Italy, Italian language, all of that. It is an Italian neorealist film through and through. It's the kind of film that I believe Antonioni was renowned for making. As of recording this, I haven't seen this film, but I'm about to go in, watch the movie, and then I'll come back and record a little review afterwards. My first impressions sort of thing. This isn't a commentary video, and it certainly is sure as shit not a reaction video. Christ no. You might take note that I kind of have this casual vibe about me, like, oh, it's just chilling out, because I want to lure the normies in. I want you all to get comfortable, and it's just, we're all just normal people. We're all just chill dudes, and and girls as well. I'm not discriminating. We're all just cool people. And we're all just going to watch a movie casually, because it's cool, isn't it? Because watching 60s Italian movies, Italian cinema is normal and cool and just sick. But no, this is me being sincere now. I really do wish to give coverage to these more obscure films, and I really do want to encourage you guys to watch them. I'm trying to raise an audience of intellectuals, so if you're not one of them, get gone. I'm not one of these snobs that accost you outside the cinema when you're trying to watch Five Nights at Freddy's and say, hey, why the hell are you not watching this amazing 3-hour black and white film where nothing happens? Like, that's not the case. I just, every now and then, I want to encourage you to go outside of your comfort zone and watch a weird film. Because that's how I started. When I was 15, my favourite films were Avengers Assemble, The Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And there's nothing particularly wrong with any of those films apart from maybe Avengers, which is kind of mid-cape shit. I took the initiative to start watching films outside my comfort zone, and now I'm here. Now I'm this amazing intellectual. And if I can do it, and from where I started, you guys sure as shit can do it. One sec. There's the DVD. Not the DVD, the Blu-ray. Fucking hell. So here is the Blu-ray, La Notte. It's still wrapped in cellophane. I thought I'd save that for this video, and we can do that now. We can unravel it. Okay. Oh, so good! Nah, well, I kind of did that too quickly. I didn't savour the unwrapping, so not as sexy as I wished. Let's watch this bitch! Yeah, I had to put my hair back up. It's just ridiculous. It was too bloody irritating. So, I watched La Notte, and it was a really good, sensitive movie. It's definitely a slow burner that you have to sink into, but I'd say that the pacing and direction is very precise. We've got two recognisable actors playing the two leads. Marcello Mastroianni from 8½, playing the male lead, and Jean Moreau from Diary of a Chambermaid, playing the female lead. This film was shot in a very matter-of-fact, authentic style, which is another trademark of this particular movement of film. Almost unapologetic realism. This film would often just hold on shots and let everything play out. It's quiet and serene, but it really lets you sink into the atmosphere of the movie, and that atmosphere is extremely pungent. It's cinematography that takes ordinary things like the weather or nature and somehow makes it captivating to look at. Now, a lot of this is done through the composition of this film's cinematography, which is honestly quite gorgeous. The way the characters are framed in this movie is often quite emblematic of their emotional state. It's not just pretty shots for the sake of pretty shots, it actually has a thematic significance. You have very good performances and naturalistic dialogue just accompanied with these gorgeous shots. The lighting is also delicately done. It's one thing to be aesthetically pleasing, but for it to complement what's going on screen, that's the whole shebang, baby. I liked a lot of the specific camera angles in this film as well that I have to imagine were informed by the Neorealist movement. Just simple choices that somehow made all the difference in terms of how you viewed the characters. The film also reaps some of the other benefits of being a part of this avant-garde movement in that there's some nudity in this film and some fairly explicit depictions of intimacy. How fucking naughty. This was 61, remember, this was just a thing that was gradually getting more and more acceptable to show in a movie. But the Europeans had it right, they got in there real fast with the nudity and the sexy stuff as well. The film ends with one of those classic final shots that perfectly cements the themes of the film. I should probably talk about the themes of the film actually. So it's essentially a study of this couple's dwindling relationship. It's a slow burner depicting them falling out of love, or the state that they're in now that they've already fallen out of love. The film starts with them going to visit their dying friend in hospital, which might be an allusion to the fact that their love is also dying. He's a friend that they seem to go back a long way with. He represents a more joyous past, perhaps. The good times that were. There's a lot of subtle indication in this film that these people are kind of longing for the past. A part of you senses that this man's life is at an end, but so is the love between this couple. And throughout the rest of the film, the couple are presented to be fairly apathetic with regards to the state of their relationship. There's this complacency in the staleness and the boredom as they slowly just drift apart. There's a key scene where they both simultaneously pursue alternative romantic options. The husband pursues a young woman and the wife pursues a young man, and they're both somewhat aware that each other doing this. But you look at this young man and this young woman and you realise that they're essentially just young versions of the main couple, so they're really just longing for the past again. They found the versions of their spouses that they originally fell in love with. It is quite a bittersweet story of just them realising that they don't love each other anymore and there's not really that much they can do about it and they just have to accept it. This film is shot on location in Milan and that plays a fairly big role in the story as the setting is very much a character as well. In the earlier segments of the film there's this focus on the city that they're living in as well as how it correlates with their relationship. And you get this theme of past and present again when the wife Lydia spends a lot of the first hour of the movie strolling around the city. Another thing that should be noted about this film is that the Italy depicted, the Milan depicted, is very modern. As I was expecting a film from the early 60s, it was quite surprising in how familiar it all looked. And this is definitely something that the film wants you to notice, as there's strong visual emphasis put on the architecture of this modern city. Shots that are trying their best to frame these skyscrapers and these big blocks of concrete as daunting as possible, or if not daunting, perhaps alien or cold. Lydia's character definitely feels this coldness emanating from the city. Without any dialogue, it's made quite clear that she hasn't settled into this new environment. And as she goes on this stroll, she eventually reaches the older and more dilapidated parts of the city, and when she gets there, she does appear to find some comfort in being there, and as an audience member, it does feel a lot warmer. The atmosphere is more inviting, there's more people around, and not long after that, you learn that this was a place that the couple used to live, so it's probably indicative of happier memories. This is all speculative interpretation, but I have to imagine that this was a big turning point in Italy, especially with this modern era coming in. And the way that this film frames these big skyscrapers, there's a lot of significance there. You get the sense that it's a big deal. Right, fucking hell, I need to put this light on. I'm really sorry, but there's the continuity error. Oh, fuck's sake. I need to put this goddamn light on because that fucking idiot with the leaf blower took so goddamn long and now it's dark. So sorry. Regardless of what it all means, it is still a very striking contrast between this concrete city and this classic Italian setting. Because when you're in the heart of the city, it does not feel like Italy at all, and it's almost like it's being robbed of its identity. The second and third act take place at this rich man's big party, very upper class. In those segments of the film, there's a lot of discussions about the future of Italy and all of this corporatization. Italy is perhaps undergoing this cynical and bleak transition, and this is all correlating with this couple becoming more and more miserable. Regardless of all of that potential subtext, it is still just a really good romantic film about falling out of love. Until perhaps the very end, the emotions of the characters are never explicitly conveyed to the audience, yet you are always in tune with their mentality. It's all left very vague, but somehow you are completely aware of what they are thinking and feeling. And that is definitely a testament to the performances of the actors in this film, which are astonishingly subtle, and it's all done with the facial expressions. As for the thematic parallels with Mad Men, all I can really point to is the similarities between the male lead in this and the Don Draper character in Mad Men. Both deeply unhappy despite being romantically successful, both struggle at sustaining the love for the women in their life. Men are never satisfied and will always be depressed. So what a fucking miserable time that was. Nah, this film was really good. Really solid movie, solid bit of kino. Would recommend. You could consider this a classic. You could consider this a masterpiece. It is this wonderfully intimate character piece of this melancholy couple. I know I've said a fair bit about this film in this review, but you'll still definitely be able to enjoy it no matter, regardless of what I've said. So go fucking watch it! That's about it. Michelangelo Antonio is an introspective genius, and this is an awesome movie.